just watched it here on CBS. Michigan with Mo Wagner throwing in 14 second-half points, beating Michigan State 75-64 to advance to tomorrow's Big Ten Tournament Championship game. Hello, everyone. Greg Gumbel. Welcome to Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance, joined as usual by Clark Kellogg and Seth Davis. Wolverines looking pretty impressive.
They really did, and defensively, 38% shooting is all Michigan State was able to muster, and Michigan shot 4. Anytime you have a 4 to 6% difference in field goal offense and defense, that's those are winning numbers, and that was a pretty good gap there.
And how about the difference at the foul line? Michigan outscoring Michigan State 24-9. Yeah. And look, I love Michigan. I've been talking them up all season long. As much as I like them tomorrow and this weekend, I like them that much more in the NCAA tournament, because once they get outside their conference, they're playing against opponents who are not familiar and comfortable with playing against that intricate offense. I think Michigan's a Final Four team.
All right, guys, let's get you caught up on other action from this afternoon. Let's start with those Musketeers. What a nice day for them, Clark.
Yes, it was. Trayvon blew it from deep. Mark those up. But Eli Kane going to keep DePaul close. Hoop and harm there. And J.P. McCure off the nice pass from O'Mara. Beautifully done there. 2 opportunities for DePaul to tie it. There's one look. Another goes awry, and Xavier outright Big East Conference champions and most likely a #1 seed.
All right, South Carolina at Auburn, where the Tigers are looking to claim a share of the SEC.
Yes, they are. They've been sputtering here a little bit the last couple of weeks. They lost their glue guy and rim protector inside, Anthony McLemore. You can see Bryce Brown here going to make the 3 off the assist from Jared Harper. They're not a big team, Auburn, but they have a lot of interchangeable parts. How about Frank Booker from South Carolina? Right now, the Gamecocks leading at Auburn by 2. I like to say Auburn's had a great year, but they are not as good these last couple of weeks after McLemore got hurt.
All right, so at the beginning of the season, did you have Auburn that high? Did you have Xavier that high?
Xavier, certainly Villanova was the favorite to win the Big East, so kudos to Xavier. But Auburn, I don't think anybody had them on that pedestal where they ended up.
Well, let's keep in mind, Auburn started the season down 2 starters that they lost to the FBI scandal, and then they lose their glue guy and Anthony McLemore the last couple of weeks. The fact that they're standing here ready to be the SEC regular season champion, Bruce Pearl, on a very, very short list for candidates for National Coach of the Year. Outstanding job.
All right, guys, earlier today here on CBS, number 23, Kentucky at Florida, where the Wildcats were looking for 5 in a row. Clark?
Wasn't going to happen today. Kayvon Allen. He made back-to-back threes to close the first half. Chris Chiosa dime dropping supremely there. That was Jalen Hudson, who had a big game. Kulachar, 3-point shot, and Florida starting to look a little bit like the Gators team we saw back in November and December. The offense percolating, and toughness and defense starting to be a little better as well.
All right, now Seth, Clemson at Syracuse.
Hugely important game for the Oranges. At-large hopes. They've been dwindling down the stretch. They lost 3 in a row, including at Boston College. Final seconds of the game here. Marquise Wright going to drive to the lane, blocked by O'Shea Brissett, and then at the end, boy, this would have been quite the way to go into overtime, but Syracuse survives. I wouldn't say they're a lot punching their ticket, but they're certainly alive for an at-large bid.
All right, and in the Big 12, West Virginia at Texas.
We got extra basketball after this layup by Javon Carter. Overtime we go. Although there was a chance to not have extra hoops, Jacob Young just missed that 3. And then in the OT, Kerwin Roach. Jericho Sims bouncing to ecstasy. And that's Jacob Young there. All Longhorns in overtime. Big win at home for a team that's sitting on the bubble just a bit.
Yeah, speaking of the bubble, it's a nice time of the year to talk about that. Seth, let's talk about the Orange, and let's talk about the Texas Longhorns.
Well, I think Texas today punched their ticket, or scan their ticket, as Clark likes to say. And we're looking at the Big 12, by the way, potentially getting 8 out of their 10 teams into the NCAA tournament. That 80% would be a record in terms of percentage of teams that are in. Syracuse, I don't think they're in. If they lose their first game in the ACC tournament, it's going to be a long wait to Selection Sunday. Had they lost today, I think they would have been out of contention for an at-large, or pretty much would have had to win the ACC tournament to get in. So that was a nice escape for the Orange.
All right, guys, still to come. We will check in on more of those teams tiptoeing on the NCAA tournament bubble. I mean, tiptoe on bubbles after this.
Careful.
We are just 8 days now, count them, from the 2018 NCAA March Madness Selection Show. Comes your way live from Atlanta, where Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith will join us for the exclusive announcement of the men's NCAA tournament bracket. That 2-hour special comes your way March 11 at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS. Let's get you back to the highlights now. More bubble teams in action, including 2 from the Big 12 facing off. Kansas State hosting Baylor.
Yeah, when you're at home, you got to hold serve here, and that's what Kansas State able to do today. Dean Wade finishing on the break, and then again, Wade. The hoop and the harm, as I like to say, Clark, there. And Baylor doing their best to stay in this thing. Baylor's an intriguing team. You guys know I'm a zonophile. I love teams that play zone. Baylor has one of the best and longest zones in the country. They could be a tough out in the tournament if they get there.
Big East, St. John's, and Providence.
And Providence doing a nice job inside. Diallo with the layup. And Nate Watson. How about this, going old school, little hook shot? Bank that puppy in there, big fella. Rodney Bullock will knock down the 3. The Friars, a team that appears to be on the bubble, but again, as Seth said, when you hold serve at home, hey, you can get off the bubble if you win enough, and that's an important win there for the Friars.
5 ties, 6 lead changes. Meanwhile, Creighton taking on Marquette.
And again, this is a bubble team in Marquette. You've got a highly ranked team on your home court. You've got to take advantage. Ballack hitting the 3 for Creighton. That puts them up 1. Rousey.
Wow.
This Marquette highlights, you know, you're going to see some deep 3-pointers, and you saw one there, and how about another one, Mr. Rousey? Banging home, and yes, it looks like the Golden Eagles are going to close this thing out. Got to finish.
SEC, Texas A&M hosting Bama.
And at home, Tyler Davis, this Texas A&M team, I tell you folks, keep an eye on them. I think they're solidly in the field and dangerous wherever their seed line is. Alabama looking for a road win, but DJ Hogue knocks down that triple, sweet stroke. Space the floor, get it to the middle, attack that. Oh, don't do that, Tyler Davis.
All right, so as this is the part of the show that Seth likes to call who's in and who's out. And as of now, Seth, let's start with Alabama.
Yeah, I get to make these decisions, obviously. So
Yes,
Alabama
you.
lost their 5th straight. What people need to remember is that the committee no longer uses last 10 games or last 12 games as part of your criteria. They're using the overall package. And one thing I have to say the SEC has done very well this year is they have scheduled well. So the games that they've won, including they won at Florida, and Florida continuing to play well. I think Alabama is in the tournament. I think Texas A&M is in the tournament. SEC is going to have a lot of teams in there. And then Baylor losing at Kansas State. You know, when you lose on the road, I don't think it counts so much as a negative. Obviously, a win for them would have been huge. They had a neutral court win over Creighton back in November. And again, don't tell me that games in November and December don't matter in college basketball. This time of year, if you're a bubble team, they're huge.
Hey.
I promise.
Penn State.
You would never say that.
Big
Not
Ten's
you.
leading scorer, Tony Carr, warming up for his semifinal showdown with Purdue. More to come on Inside College Basketball, presented by Progressive Insurance after this.
When you go to a Big Ten tournament and you're playing in any tournament, it's a 1 game right here, got to compete for 40 minutes.
You're playing a game and you turn around less than 24 hours and playing another game. You know, you got to go out there and compete.
We just played them, and we know we can compete with them. Vince Edwards is back. So now you got to worry about Vince, not just Carson and Isaac Haas and Dakota and PJ. So they got a lot of great players.
I just like their personnel. You know, Shep's been around the block. Tony Carr get going. Lamar Stevens. Reeves is one of the best defenders in our league.
I think New Yorkers and people from out of town are really enjoying this venue. The energy, the electricity, the crowd. There's nothing better than playing here. It's the Mecca.
A young man who can play the game, one of Purdue's senior leaders, Isaac Haas, a double-double in the Boilermakers' quarterfinal win over Rutgers last night. The 7'2" center, bit of a renaissance man, as you will find out in our 20-second drill.
Isaac Haas from Purdue University. I like to play video games, specifically League of Legends with my cousins. I actually like to read books occasionally in my own time. I like to be outdoors, like kayak, fish, mountain bike, you name it. Cliff diving is actually one of my specialties. I travel around Tennessee. Dang.
Too, but he's a good ball player.
Yeah, he's a really good ball player, great guy.
Yes, he is.
4-man senior class at Purdue, which really exemplifies the best of college basketball. It's going to be fun today.
Yeah, it will be fun, and that kid is as well versed off the court as he is big on the court, which is always neat to see.
All right, guys. Meanwhile, over on CBS Sports Network, Loyola taking on Bradley in the first semifinal game of the Missouri Valley Conference.
Championship game on CBS tomorrow. You're going to see Darryl Brown driving the baseline for Bradley. I know my partner, Special K, loves these Ramblers of Loyola.
Keep an eye on them.
They won the Missouri Valley Conference regular season by 4 games, and they have a win at Florida early in the year. So if they win here and lose tomorrow, they could still potentially get an at-large.
The second game of the Missouri Valley Conference semifinal later today on CBS Sports Network, followed by Butler at Seton Hall and number 21 Nevada at San Diego State. We will be back with more in a moment. As we welcome you back, let's update a few scores of games that are underway. Number 1, Virginia at home, leading Notre Dame 30-22 as they come down the home stretch of the first half. Kansas at Oklahoma State. The Cowboys with the lead, 39-22, 3.5 to play in the first, and 5:13 to play in the first at Texas Tech, where the Red Raiders trail TCU 32-24. Earlier here on CBS, our first Big Ten semifinal matchup. Here's how our guys called it.
City hosting the Big Ten tournament. Up first, Michigan State. Nice run to the rim. Tillman on the dunk. He'll wait for his teammates to get down the floor. Now whips it inside, and Wagner's got his first basket.
Wayne Simpson's gotten so much better running the team. Look at this kid. What a blow-by. How about that?
Michigan wins it to advance to the final.
And we are now just minutes away from the tip-off of our second Big Ten semifinal showdown between Penn State and Purdue. And you like?
Penn State. I like the Nittany Lions because I think Tony Carr will be the best player on the floor. He's a big guard that can post you. He can score it from deep. He can find other people, and Penn State is on a bit of a mission. They're not assured of being a tournament team if they don't win this. I think that motivation against a very good Purdue team will be enough. And the best player is Tony Carr, I think, and if he plays at his level, I like the Nittany Lions to move forward.
I agree. I'm looking forward to the matchup. I'm going to assume that Dakota Mathias is going to guard Tony Carr. He's one of the best perimeter defenders.
Yes, he is.
Interesting matchup. I like the smaller, quicker teams in these types of matchups, so I'll agree with you about Penn State winning the game. I don't think Penn State can get an at-large bid if they lose today. If they win today, I think it puts them in great position.
You got
right
a lot
now,
of
they've
teams
got,
in this
No, they're not. That's what I'm saying is I don't know that they necessarily be in if they win today. The good news, they got 3 quadrant 1 wins. The bad news is all 3 of them came against Ohio State and only 2 quadrant 2 wins. So their resume really is not all that strong.
All right, guys.
So there you go. Penn State's not in.
The argument will continue. You guys just won't see it. That'll do it for us for now. Game time. Penn State and Purdue. We'll see you back here at halftime. Enjoy, everybody.